Hi Broncos, this is Kiara Craig with the Poly Post, and today marks 28 days since the government announced the shutdown, leaving federal employees either working without pay or dismissed entirely. Let's go to reporter Ryan Fogg to give us the recent updates.
Today marks 28 days since the United States government has entered a partial shutdown. Across the country, thousands of federal employees were dismissed, and vital services Americans rely on came to a halt. But how did we get here? What does this shutdown mean? And what's the path forward? I'm Ryan Fogg, reporting for the Poly Post. The federal government shutdown began on October 1st after Republican and Democrat lawmakers failed to pass a funding bill that would have kept the government open and extended healthcare subsidies that are expiring for millions of Americans under the Affordable Care Act. Failure to extend these subsidies would cause insurance premiums to spike for every American. Republicans claimed the proposal would cost taxpayers more than $1 trillion. Both parties have yet to show any sign of budging.
Let me sign on right now. Let me ask you a question. Did you get permission from your boss?
Why don't we sign on right now?
Did your boss, Donald Trump?
You can easily extend
Did your
the
boss,
ACA
did your
right
boss
now.
Donald Trump
He's
give
not
you
my
permission?
boss.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. By the way,
So let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to
Let me
shut
ask
the
you a
government
question.
down?
Listen, you're not gonna talk to me.
Wasted
You're not gonna talk to me
fraud
and talk
and
over
non-New
me
York residents
because you don't
getting
want to
paid.
hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm
So
listening.
why don't
Go
you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
Because you
is
showed
that the way
up.
to
You
talk?
showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on to
bill.
this. You can extend it
A
right now.
permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90.
So a government shutdown is basically when the government runs out of money to keep the government going, the federal government. So what happens is there are several federal government entities that need money to pay workers, to pay for the projects that they're working on. So basically any federal government entity that isn't the post office is self-funded. We do that paying for stamps and services, but any other federal government entity would be affected. There are some agencies that can be compelled to work, like the military, that's why we see ICE still out there. But for the most part, if it's a federal government entity, it's being shut down right now.
Medicare and Medicaid programs are expected to continue, though staffing shortages could cause delays of services. During the shutdown, the Trump administration has been trying to fire thousands of federal workers in agencies that don't align with its priorities.
The Democrats are getting killed on the shutdown because we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we were opposed to. So we're being, and they're never going to come back in many cases.
The Trump administration has announced a reduction in force affecting over 4,000 workers, with the biggest cuts happening at the Departments of Treasury, Health and Human Services, Education, and Housing and Urban Development. White House Budget Chief Russ Vought stated on The Charlie Kirk Show that many more layoffs are planned.
So you're saying there's been a snapshot of 4,000 jobs cut.
Correct.
Is there a special, but it could grow
It
much
could
higher.
grow higher. I think we'll probably end up being north of 10,000.
Russell Vought is currently Trump's Director of Office Management and Budget, better known as OMB, and also the author of Project 2025, an initiative led by the Heritage Foundation that aims to advance conservative policies and reshape the federal government. Just one day after the government officially shut down, President Trump took to Truth Social to inform his followers that the work he and Vought plan to do together. This comes after, throughout his re-election campaign, Trump denied any knowledge or involvement with Project 2025.
She knows better than anyone. I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before.
On October 15th, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from firing federal workers, saying that the cuts appeared to be politically motivated.
How do we assign blame? Well, on the one hand, you could assign blame to Republicans. They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Or alternatively, you could assign blame to the Democrats because you require to pass any budgetary bill in the Senate 60 votes. The Republicans have 53 right now, so they need at least 7 votes from the Democrats to pass this budget. Now, in the past, so back in March, Democrats gave them the 7 votes they needed to pass a budget to continue funding the government. This time around, they've realized this is really the only leverage the minority party has to get anything done. So, in exchange for their votes to pass this budget, they've agreed to vote for it if they can get a few concessions mainly around health. They want to continue the Obamacare subsidies, and they want to roll back some of the cuts that were made to healthcare when the big, beautiful bill passed a few months ago. So if the question is assigning blame, it's a bit complicated because of those aspects.
Although blame to both parties is warranted, some argued the shutdown is to do with Republicans' loyalty to the president and the need for Democrats to take a stand against the current administration.
It's a pretty widely accepted perspective out there that the president is acting more like an authoritarian and less like a president in the traditional sense of what we've had in American history. And I study American history. I teach American history. I have a pretty good sense of how presidents have normally acted. And whether you like him or dislike him, this current president has been an outlier. And the party that he belongs to has been rather extreme in its priorities. And I'm happy to unpack that a little bit more. But I think you see that manifested in the Republican Party's rejection of expertise, whether that is climate science, whether that is the medical expertise on vaccines, whether you want to kind of delve deeply into Christian nationalism, whether you want to talk about tax cuts. So if I were to look at the priorities of the Republicans in Washington, I would say first and foremost, it's an unequivocal support of Trump. And I think if you're following the news, Trump is very much out on a path of revenge. Whether you're looking at the brief cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel, whether you're looking at the ICE raids, whether you're looking at the indictment of James Comey, I think it's pretty clear that that revenge is a major priority of the Trump administration. The Republicans have pushed back occasionally, but not forcefully by any means. So they are largely enabling the president. I would argue that the Supreme Court, on the most important issues, has sided with the president. And that goes back to some important decisions in 2024. So, like I said, if you were to ask me who's mostly responsible for it, it would have to be the GOP.
Critics of Democrats argue that this forced shutdown could be seen as a lapse in messaging and could ultimately hurt Democrats in the long run if there isn't a deal met.
I actually don't think that the Democrats should have chosen this hill to die on, because they're not good at messaging. So they are, at some point, they're going to have to fold, because right now the Republicans are accusing them of trying to fund Medicare for illegal aliens, but Democrats are not fighting back well enough. So even though that claim isn't true, they are not doing a good enough job of kind of pushing that message back. So a lot of the public is starting to think that Democrats just want to fund illegal aliens and do trans kids and all these like crazy stuff. So I don't know if it's going to get solved. What I actually think is the Democrats should have allowed the government to go through with the budget that was proposed by the Republicans, because there would be consequences. A lot of people's health insurance premiums would rise, and then people would start kind of getting upset with Republicans. But since the Democrats are stopping these consequences, they're stopping the kid from touching the hot stove, and there's not going to be much progress until these consequences are felt.
As the government shutdown continues into its fourth week, making it the second longest shutdown in American history, and no end in sight, Americans wonder when and how the shutdown can end.
To end the government shutdown, they need to pass one of these continuing resolutions, or what's less likely is pass these big appropriation bills. To end this one, the House has already done their job, at least according to the Speaker. They've passed their budget. What the Democrats are asking for is that both chambers come back, the House and the Senate, to legislate some of these compromises that they're asking for. So if the Democrats, quote unquote, win, what it would look like is the House passes a continuing resolution that funds the government and concedes these points that the Democrats want. The Senate would then come back and have a 60-vote coalition that does the same thing, passes the same version of that bill. If the Republicans win and the Democrats decide this has gone on too long, we're going to just forego these concessions that we've been asking for, the House wouldn't need to come back to vote on this. The Senate would vote. Those 7 votes from the Democrats would come in, and that would end the shutdown.
Pressure is building on both sides to reopen the government, as Arizona lawmakers have recently filed a lawsuit against House Speaker Mike Johnson to swear in Democratic winner Adelita Grijalva, which would give Democrats enough votes to force a release on the Epstein files.
You had some hope that a handful of Republicans, a handful of Democrats would come together. Even if the leadership couldn't come together, you'd have some people that would find a compromise. And we're not in that place anymore. The Speaker of the House has dismissed the chamber and said he won't bring back the House of Representatives until the Democrats pass a clean bill. All of these things are very unique. That we have basically a side that refuses to talk to the other side, and the other side is perfectly okay with that. They don't want to talk to each other. And so I would encourage our students to get more involved, to be informed, and talk to their member of Congress, talk to their senator, talk to their friends that are in other states, and get informed on this, because this is going to impact all of us. As we've seen, these last, we're in October now, these last 10 months have really impacted all of us in several different ways. I think the more we get turned off by these partisan politics, the easier it becomes for whoever's in power to take advantage of us.